Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of Great Scott. Today I'm going to continue my more in-depth discussion of Batman v Superman. Why? Because it's a colossal flop. It's only made just about $900 million at the global box office. And clearly I'm the only one still talking about it, or who thought that the movie was good. I just had another discussion today with a film critic who says that my dismissal of him as a film critic was insulting, so he ended the conversation. I didn't dismiss him as a film critic. What I said was, everybody online is a film critic. Everybody not online is a film critic. If you watch a movie, if you tell anyone it was good, if you tell anyone it was bad, and critic, by definition, is someone who has a negative opinion on something and then expresses it. Through the years, we have modernized film critic. I personally like reviewer as a better word, because critic has negative connotations. And, as we all know, most of the critical reviews were negative. Although, someone posted the other day, and I was surprised to hear it, that fan response on the same site that everyone seems to go to for the negative ones, which is Rotten Tomatoes, apparently is 75%. 75% is pretty damn good. It's not 100, which every Marvel movie gets, but we won't go into that again because clearly I'm incredibly wrong and there's no bias toward Marvel films. And when I say that, what I generally mean is people have been so conditioned as to what a movie should feel like if it's about superheroes by Marvel, because Marvel's been so successful and done it so well for however long now, 10 years, that when people go to the movie theater, that's what they expect. And when it's a Superman movie, not only that, but then they also expect it to be a Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve type Superman movie. So aside from the idea that I do think there's some sort of political payola type of thing going on with Disney and Marvel and hating on DC movies, because in almost every review you read, it's all, this definitely isn't a Marvel film, or Marvel films are so good. And now that the Civil War movie's coming out, which I am excited about and do want to see, all the reviews are, what a blockbuster should be, which is clearly a dig at DC. And then there are ones that say it directly, not on the TV commercials, but definitely not DC, or much better than that other film. That's just what they do, because, you know, it's all V, and that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. Batman v Superman. Last week I did the Batman part. Now I want to do a little bit about the V. Everyone calls this movie Versus, and I guess that's really what it is. We were kind of being led to believe that the V might mean something else. Maybe it's the fifth movie. It's some sort of imaginary movie of fives that has something to do with something. Or maybe it just means like a plaintiff versus a defendant in a court case. It could kind of be that, but they also do very much so verses. And there's a lot of other verses going on too. Batman v Superman fight. Why do they fight? The reason that they fight is because Batman is obsessed. He's the bad guy in this film. As I said last week, even though he's not bad, he does do quite a few evilish type things toward the goal of murdering someone, and that someone is Superman. However, as a human being, we can kind of understand where your feelings might take control of you. Now, the problem is, and a lot of the critical reviews I've read say that Batman doesn't have any reason, Batman's out of character, there's no motivation, same with Lex Luthor, who Superman is also V in this movie. Batman's reasons are simple, we see it, I think it's told incredibly well at the beginning of the movie where we see the Battle of Metropolis. So from my point of view, and from Bruce's point of view in this movie, we get a pretty good interpretation of why Bruce is angry. Now, Bruce doesn't pursue that because he knows it's kind of a fruitless effort. Superman is Superman. He's just a guy. Alfred tells him that in the movie when he does decide to pursue his vendetta. Now, Lex this whole time is playing Batman against Superman because it's V and he wants him to fight. The reason he wants him to fight is because he knows that Batman is extremely well trained. He knows that if he can get him a hold of the kryptonite, which he sets up in a perfect way, lets Bruce find him, lets Bruce find the kryptonite, lets Bruce steal the kryptonite, meanwhile planting all these seeds of hatred toward Bruce, hatred toward losing his family, pushing him in the right direction. He points all that out so that he can get Batman to want to fight Superman. Then he forces Superman to have to fight Batman in order to bring in Batman's head because he has Martha. And the reason they're going to fight now for Lex is he plans for Batman to kill Superman with the kryptonite, but if that doesn't work, He has a secondary plan in place, and that is Doomsday. And the reason that Superman ends up Ving Batman is because he doesn't like the way he's treating criminals on the street, which is also expanding out to cause fear in the hearts of regular people. And so when Batman is branding people, and when Batman is breaking people, and when Batman is really hurting people, it's scaring everybody else. And Clark says the good people of the city are also being scared by this guy, and it's just not right. And Perry doesn't care. Nobody cares about Clark Kent versus the Batman, which is ironically the title of this movie, not Clark Kent. But Superman tells him in no uncertain terms to stop being Batman, and Batman doesn't like it. And if I was Batman, I wouldn't like that either. But the problem is, Batman's already sailing on a sea of hatred and already thinks that Superman could be a bad thing, and Lex Luthor is pushing him and pushing him. And here's the thing about Lex Luthor: manipulation. So he manipulates them into that situation. Now, Superman, we know, isn't going to bring the head of anyone to anybody. The problem is he's got his back against the wall because Martha is taken. So he goes to Batman, and he plans on asking him to help him. Then he gets a little angry because Batman keeps attacking him with stuff. Which you could argue, why would Superman get angry? None of that stuff can hurt him. Until he finally hits him with kryptonite. But then it's still a pretty unfair fight. Superman easily knocks him down many times, puts him through walls, takes him, if he had used all of his strength and all of his power, even after he had been hit with kryptonite, he could have crushed every bone in Batman's body, but he doesn't do that because he's Superman, and that's not what Superman does. But they are V. Anyway, Superman is also V the world in this movie, not in a way where he's destroying the world, but in a way where Lex Luthor is setting him up so that Batman will get more angry and so that the people will turn against him, and hopefully he can beat Superman by causing so much self-doubt and depression that Superman will either give up or leave or be so unable to concentrate on the battle that Lex is going to make come that he won't be able to win. He causes this self-doubt by setting him up in these situations. Some of them are a little questionable in terms of who would believe it, but the idea being that Superman's the bad guy, and he either causes all these bad issues just by being there, or he's directly killing people and doing bad things, which continues to fuel Batman's rage, continues to turn people against him, continues to make Superman look into himself for an answer he can't find as to what he should be doing. If the people really don't want me here, and the people really hate me, and I seem to be causing more harm than good, what am I doing here? Does my symbol really mean hope? Am I really? So he's versus those feelings. He's those feelings that we human beings do have. We do have self-doubt. And I've heard people argue, that's not Superman. Superman never doubts himself. Superman never has issues. Superman never has anger or sorrow or depression or feels bad about himself or doubt. And all of that is just wrong. I feel like you've never read a comic book if that's the way you feel. Yes, Superman is inspiring. Yes, Superman is hopeful. Yes, Superman keeps fighting in the face of negativity. And he does that in this movie. But that also doesn't mean that he has to show no emotions or be unaffected by anything. That's Batman's job. And as much as Batman may have emotions, he has buried them so down deep, and he's so dark, and he doesn't listen to those feelings. He just goes out and he's mean to people. Superman isn't. So people are bothered that Superman doesn't smile in this, and that Superman doubts himself in this, and that Superman isn't acting Superman-y and inspirationally. But that's the story. That's the plot. People say you can't tell a good Superman story because he's too powerful. His heart is probably his greatest weakness. We see that in Superman 2, when he wants to protect the humans, and Zod and them try to use the humans against him, and Zod does it in Man of Steel. And now Lex Luthor has taken Martha because he's more human than some humans. And especially in this case, Batman is inhuman. He is so disconnected to his emotions that he wants to murder Superman. And Superman just goes there trying to convince him. And yes, he does get into a fight with him after a few attempts to silence him by just pushing him away. Doesn't work. But it's because of Superman's humanity that he feels the way he does in this movie, and he ends up the Batman because Lex Luthor manipulates the situation and also uses Batman's already obsession and already hatred with Superman. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky. I'm destroying everything because I am a destroyer, and that is what I do. Hold that thought.
I destroy things because I am the worst kind of person in existence.
Yeah. He knows it's kind of a frugal. Frugal? Batman, gotta be Superman. Batman, Superman.